and help people, you know, kind of really harness the power of what this is, because I know it sort of feels overwhelming, and what I hope to do tonight is kind of show you how it doesn't have to be that complicated, and that anybody can go out there and make some of these connections and get some of this started. So looking forward to it. So thanks for the wonderful introduction, as always. I always love your energy. So do you want me to just go ahead and get going, or? I guess so.
Yes, I do. Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I will hope that no one will judge me by my presentation tonight. I seem to have pulled in a file that has all the original timings on it. So if it starts moving without me, I'll just have to keep backing stuff up, and hopefully I'll be able to work with it. But what I want to do is really talk about this fundraising platform, and as I mentioned, sort of put some reality to it for people, because I feel like when I've talked with people that it seems like this overwhelming thing, and really you have so many of these connections already. So one of the things that we're going to talk about tonight in terms of looking at this is which organizations fit best, right, for this type of a program. So we'll cover that, and first and foremost, because I think that people start thinking about these massive organizations, and big is fine. You know, sometimes, you know, people sort of think go big or go home, but the truth is that starting small, the way that this is structured, the way that the fundraising platform works is that you can start small. And actually what I love about that is that even if you are a small, you know, say church, and you know you can't do a massive type of fundraising program, so this really allows you to expand and really reach into you know, way beyond that circle of influence that typically you're going to have, and allow you to go down, as you know, with this program up to 10 generations, although for the fundraisers, and I know this has been a big question, and I don't believe any of this has changed, but we unlocked the fundraisers, an actual fundraiser, through 9 generations, so they have that ability to just grow, and the marketplace does so much of that. So it's wonderful to have the big organizations, and I know that we have a couple people that have really targeted the big organizations, but the small ones, I'm telling you, because of the viral nature of this, are just as important, and in some ways easier to get started. Well, no, not in some ways easier. They are easier to get started. So obviously nonprofits, charities, churches, and obviously, look at people that have like yearly events. I mean, there's 5K runs. There's all kinds of organizations that do charitable types of, you know, whether it's a silent auction. Just, you know, there's ways to get involved in those if you know it's coming up, so that you can have some of the information there and let that sort of be a launching pad for helping to get something started. Obviously, schools, and we've done some things there. So in your back office, there is you know, a form that can kind of help you create a list of ideas and generate some contacts. So if you, you know, can get into the back office, there's tools there. We'll talk about some other forms that are there here in just a couple minutes. So I want to talk about the script, because I think, you know, and it doesn't even really matter if you're talking about fundraisers or if you're talking about building MyNetworkOne. It's all about, you know, just getting comfortable with the script. And, you know, and I'm sharing this one with you, but this does not have to be your script. There's really only one thing that, well, there's 2 things that I want to say about this. One is we're going to talk about the word open, and no matter what your script is, and no matter what you're talking about, you know, we're trying to have a conversation and get people to be open, and people don't like to be closed. So using the word open in your script somewhere is just really, really important. So I would just say that's one key component. The other key component is, and I think I did share this on the last call, but I think it bears repeating, because, you know, when you are, and just think about this, when you're half committed to something, people know that. But when you're 100% committed to something, you know what, they may think you're crazy, but they will respect you for your commitment. And so what I would say to you is that just whatever it is you're doing with this, just be committed to it, because at least they'll respect you for the commitment that you have to it. And I don't care if it's building the MNO business, or if it's building around these fundraising as part of it, or anything else that's a part of the MNO, because there's so many different things to tap into. Just have commitment around it. People sense that, and if you go into something half-hearted, they're going to sense that as well. So that's a really important thing. So when you're talking to people, just be transparent. This is a great program. There's no reason to go into it with anything other than the expectation that this is worthy of their time to take a look at it. So when you're talking to people and you're saying, just introducing yourself, just certainly be respectful. Is this a good time is always a good question to ask before you even go into anything. But you're going to be brief, and and if just say, hey, if I could share something with you that won't require you, your organization, or those who support to spend one single dime extra, and in the meantime, you're going to be raising significant dollars for your cause, would you be open to learning more? And again, it's all about that word open and understanding that. And if they say yes, and that they are the sole decision maker, well then, then you can move forward. But if they are not the decision maker, maybe they're part of a committee, or maybe they're just the gatekeeper. The gatekeepers, by the way, are really important people. They are the ones that we're going to decide whether or not you get to go through the gate. So you're going to have a conversation with them. You don't want to make it, you don't want to say like, hey, I just want to get around you, because you know what, they're going to be key. They're going to be key on two levels. They're going to be key in the beginning to get you through the gate. They could also be key to helping out later, because sometimes that's the same person who kind of helps to facilitate some of the things that need to go on behind the scenes. So build that relationship with the person who's sort of, answering the phone, because they may be a really critical component, and I guarantee you they're critical if they're a good gatekeeper to try to make sure that nobody goes through. Ask for their help, ask how they can help you. And so here's some of the things, you can overview. If you've got the decision maker on the phone, you can overview the program yourself, and you can just go ahead and refer them to, the MNO Fund1Stop. You can plug them into some of the live webinars. In there is a recording on the MNO Fund1Stop.com website that's a short video that overviews it. You could send that to them. Certainly, I'm available to do webinars, and I've done those for people to try to help them, kind of convey the message. I'm not, one of the things is that it's not, I've had a few people call and say, hey, can you make the call on my behalf? I do not have that relationship that you have with that person. And I would really encourage you to look for those contacts, those connections that you already have. I'm happy to get on the phone and work with you and do a presentation, do a webinar, have a conversation. But these are your contacts, and you're going to have so much more success if you're transparent, you're real, and you're just, because you've got something great to share, just share it with them. And the follow-up is critical, and this is where people, it's funny, they'll do all this work on the front end, which really is the hardest part, and then they don't follow up. And I think sometimes we think, well, I didn't hear back from them, so they must not be interested. That is not the case. People have a lot going on, they're very busy, and what you need to do is make sure that you're following up with them. And again, everything I'm saying tonight, I'm talking about fundraisers, but guess what? It works for every single aspect of this business. And the follow-up, they always say the fortune is in the follow-up, and it is. And don't, just because they didn't get back with you or didn't take your first phone call, one of the things, and I think I shared this as well, but this is something that I do. You call someone and they don't respond, and then maybe you text them and they don't respond. It gets to that point where you don't even want to leave a message. But if you've called enough times, I mean, since we have caller ID, you can only call so many times unless you're going to use a blocked number before they're going to know that you're calling them. And that's okay, because you know what? Here's what I say to them. Even if I have to finally, have a conversation with them through voicemail, what I will say is, look, there can be such a fine line, and I don't know if this will work for you, but what I say is there's such a fine line between being a pest and being persistent. And what I want you to know is that I'm the latter. I just want to be persistent, because I know if you were open to just at least taking a look at this, that this could be something that could make a massive difference in terms of your fundraising efforts. So, and it just kind of lets them know, hey, look, I know I've called a few times, but that's how I can sometimes get past it, because there is a fine line. But the fine line I want to be on is the side of just being persistent, because I'm passionate and I believe that this is going to be a positive thing for you. So, once you've done the follow-up and now they're really ready to get going, how do you actually kind of get them through the process? Well, again, there is a fundraising form in the back office, because what we want to do is we want to get that turned in, because those go to the marketplace so that they can unlock the first 9 generations for that official fundraiser. Obviously, you can have, there's a link, you have your link, your marketplace link, and where they're going to go sign up and determine a kickoff. There are, again, marketing materials in your back office that kind of help you, and even the form, the fundraising form that you fill out, it gathers some information. That information is really important, and to gather so that you know some of their goals around it and some of their ways that they communicate, if you will, currently with their organization members. Let's see. So we have, and you know, if you don't know this, this is what you have to grasp around, is that we have one of the most unique platforms out there. And what makes it so unique, and I think everybody knows this, but again, when you're talking to them, we have all these different organizations, but we pay referral cash. And nobody out there is doing this the way that we're doing it. And I will tell you, after a while, some of them are going to see what we're doing and they're going to try to do it. We've got the edge, though, right now in this moment to get out there and to share this platform, because it right now pays through those 9 generations for these fundraisers. And they can reach out to people that they've never been able to reach to before, in terms of not only them having maybe some awareness around who they are, but certainly being able to have more dollars come in than they ever thought possible because of the referral cash. And I know that, and I think maybe I explained it here, but you know, so here we are. What if, this is part of the video that they had seen originally, if they saw it in the back office, but this is, you know, what if they didn't have to spend a dime to earn those extra dollars? What if they could just do what they're already doing and earn those extra dollars? And of course, we all know about the traditional fundraising. What you don't want to do is say, oh, get rid of your traditional fundraising. That is not what we're saying. What we are saying is that those only create a temporary cash flow. What we want to do is we want to create a cash flow for your organization that's lasting. Because think about how this works. Once somebody's in the marketplace, 5 years from now, that person may go to a different church. They may have moved to a different, you know, city. 5 years from now, the kid who had parents who were in that grade school, you know, they're not, that kid's grown there, he or she's in high school now. People move on, but the marketplace is almost like their DNA gets attached to whoever brought them in, and they're there permanently. And as long as they always shop, you know, through that portal that we offer through our marketplace, then they're attached to that cause, that organization. And for you as agents, guess what? They're forever attached to what it is that you create around this fundraising and other people that you bring in. You know, and I would just say, again, back to the size of these fundraisers, if you think about it, you know, a fundraiser, I mean, go play with that calculator. If you've not played with the MNO Fund1 calculator that's in the fundraising section, you know, go put in 20 people. Go put in 50 people. See what that does down through those generations. I mean, does it take time? Absolutely it takes time. But look what it does over time and what it means for the long-term impact of where this can go. The more people you bring in, obviously the bigger it can get. But I'm telling you, just plug in 20 people and see what it is. Plug in 50, plug in 100. You will be amazed. If you have not done that, go do that. And that's what you can share with these fundraising organizations for them to see the long-term, you know, maybe not long-term, but certainly, you know, it doesn't really matter how long it takes. The point is they have to get started. And once they're started, they're on that pathway. And that's the important piece in this. So it does create what you call true residual income, not temporary, but true long-term lasting residual income. And it's harnessing the power of the current trends, because guess what? People are shopping online. And they shop online because it's convenient. And there's all kinds. I mean, here's the reality is that even though there are other cashback offers, nobody's doing the referral cash. So you take something like the Ebates that became really popular, right? They have all these stores like we do and whatever, but they, you know, and they sold for $1 billion. Guess why? Because people shop online. And so that's what you're trying to get them to understand. Look, your people that are there, they're going to be doing it anyway. They're going to be doing it for all the reasons of time savings and, you know, not fighting the crowds, and there's more variety sometimes. The price is oftentimes less. It's just convenient. So all these reasons are why consumers are actually online shopping. And then you have, we have Cyber Monday because we had, it wasn't crazy enough just to have Black Friday. We have to have Cyber Monday, but the stats, if you just look, are exponentially have grown over the last several years in terms of how much people get online and do their holiday shopping at this point. So, and these trends are not going anywhere except up. I mean, that is the reality. Retail sales, and if you look at what's going, so, really the question at the end of the day is for the fundraiser and for yourself as agents, how much of this are you going to grab? How much of this is going to be yours? Because you know what, there's a lot. We live in abundance. We live in a world of abundance, and especially here in the United States, we have to take advantage of that. And we have incredible opportunity with this business and with what this marketplace offers, and certainly for these fundraisers. And you know what? Some of the fundraisers have been struggling. So guess what? You have a solution for them that they probably haven't seen. Well, I know they haven't seen anything exactly like it. There are other marketplaces out there, but none of them are doing what we're doing. And I know I've said that, but that is what is the referral cash program is what separates us from everything else. So here, and I know I mentioned this, but this is the eBates sold for $1 billion. And here's, if you get, well, where is the money coming from? And I don't, you don't really have to get into this, but it's important to kind of understand it. In an eBate situation, half goes to the consumer, and the same thing happens in our marketplace. But what happens with the other half is typically eBates keeps it, right? Well, in our situation, we do something different. What we do is we share that. We share that 3% that the eBates is keeping, and that's the piece that allows us to do exactly what this is that we pay you when you shop, we pay you when your friends shop, and their friends, and their friends, and their friends, and so on. And that's the power of what we have, and that is exactly how you need to present this to these fundraisers, because it's going to be about the people that support them and their friends and their friends and their friends. And again, the reach they're going to have is going to be way beyond anything they could begin to imagine. And the marketplace does the heavy lifting. And I know there's been amazing, absolutely amazing changes happening in the marketplace that have made it, continually getting better and better. And even more will happen as we create these new behaviors for viral growth, so that when people do come in, it's easy for them to shop and to then share it with others, because that's obviously we want to create that whole viral experience, so that that the communities for yourself and for these fundraisers continue to grow. And of course, we have the Cashback Finder, and I know probably if you're on this call, you're familiar with this, but the Cashback Finder, again, not all these marketplaces have this, and we have one that does a great job in terms of it pulling right up into the search engines and showing what we have. So what does that do? It really makes the entire internet become your marketplace. And that's another piece that's important for these fundraisers to understand. It's not just about this small little marketplace. It's literally the whole internet once they install the MNO Cashback Finder. So, and I'm not going to get into this, but there's so many things people don't even think about. Like, I needed a plumber, and I would have never thought about going to the marketplace for a plumber, right? Because who would think? But guess what? I needed one, and I typed it in, and guess what came up? One in my area. And the reason being is because Angie's List is part of our marketplace. There's so much in there that they can tap into to create this residual cash flow and save their own supporters a ton of money. I mean, that's the great thing, right? Nobody's even paying to be in this, and all we're doing is helping people save money, and then we're earning referral cash and our own cash back on top of it. So these are some of the things that I know you're all familiar with. This was an example, and I'm going to go through this really quick, but this is at Christmas time. This was just a jacket that I bought for my son, and that is not my son, although he does kind of look like him, but that is the jacket I bought for him, and I got $6.70, back on cashback. So, and I could have gone, directly to North Face to get that, because that's the jacket he wanted, but I found it in the store. I found it for the same price, and I got cashback. So how does it work for the fundraisers? Well, what we do is, and if it's obviously this takes more effort than others, but we create a strategic plan. That strategic plan, again, goes back to, understanding how they sort of operate, how they're structured, those kinds of things. And those are all the things that, we help with once we get the door opened and can, start to implement the fundraiser. And we really want them to only focus on two things. We want them to focus on how they're going to invite their supporters And then we want to focus them on talking about how their supporters can invite others. And that's it. Because after that, the marketplace is built to drive it virally, so that the only thing that Fundraiser is focused on is really the first 2 generations. Let's get our supporters invited, and then let's teach our supporters how to invite others into the marketplace and join in the community. That's the only thing that we're really trying to get them to focus on. Of course, we do want to, which we would do, you know, through a lot of communication as well, but obviously we want them to activate the cashback finder, because that's going to make the marketplace that much more effective. We have great search functions within, but again, until they create the habit of going there, or maybe just not, you know, again, like I wouldn't have thought about going for, you know, some of the things like the services of a plumber, that keeps drawing their attention back to it. So we want them to activate the cashback finder. So here's part of the calculator, you know, and we ran these calculations based on, you know, someone having 1,000 and 10%. So we're starting only really with 100 here in this calculator example, and the average cashback, you know, we're saying 1.5. That's actually a little low, and we're saying that the average cashback earned per month per active member is $1.50. Also could be a little low, and that they're going to be spending about $100 a month. So when you go in, you can see which of these, you can change these variables around so that you can play with this calculator and have some fun with it. And I will just tell you, though, if you start putting in crazy numbers, like really high numbers, it'll blow your mind in terms of what that means. Because here's what it means, even at what I just shared with you. So we started off with 100, and if you look down through go ahead and just look through the 9 generations, although, you know, obviously a fundraiser could upgrade, but let's just go through the 9. But one of the things I think sometimes people miss about this is that is monthly, number 1, if you look at the referral cash paid out to Fundraiser. And it is also cumulative in terms of you're adding up the first 9. That's so in a month, if we went down all 10, which is probably the number I have down at the bottom, it would be 27,000. But if you're just adding up through the other generations, you probably still have 12 or 13,000 in there that you know, that is a monthly income. And I'm going to tell you what, these fundraisers, they have not seen an income like that. And again, it's going to take some time, but the point is to get started and to get them on that pathway. And as we continually roll out incentives and things and ways for them to plug in, and the marketplace continues to grow, it's only going to get better and better and better. And over time, they're going to see those kind of numbers, and those are something that they could never do without a marketplace like what we're offering with the fundraising platform. So in the recap, has more than, see, I need to update this slide, because guess what? And this just shows you, I mean, we could, I did this on purpose, I'll just say that now, I didn't, but the point is that I just did this presentation no more than probably two and a half months ago. And that I'm saying more than 2,300 stores, and I know, and I might even, you know, this was a couple weeks, we're at 2,800 plus stores now. That's how fast this marketplace is growing. So yeah, I just left that in there for effect, basically. Many of your supporters already shop online. They know that they can shop. So it's just really, they're just shopping where they already shop. It's the same exact messaging, right? You're just trying to convey that messaging now to a fundraiser and letting them know that, hey, your members are already doing this. Are you going to, you know, take advantage of, you know, harnessing some of that for yourself and for your fundraisers? That MNO pays referral cash, and that this allows them to build a massive community tree and extend their reach far, far beyond what they could in their typical base of supporters. The MNO cashback finder technology turns the entire internet into their you know, into their marketplace, and it enhances the behavior, obviously, for increased sales and increased cash flow. Supporters can feel good when they know that what they're buying is not only supporting, they're not only saving, they're supporting, and that they can easily invite others to shop and save and earn cash back as well. So there's just so many benefits to this, and of course it's free. So, you know, sometimes I think when people hear all this, they go, oh yeah, so how much does it cost? Guess what? It doesn't cost anything, and it doesn't cost a dime to the fundraisers. So, I mean, I don't know how you could get out there and offer something more valuable and impressive and meaningful than what this program has to offer for a fundraiser, but I'm going to tell you that you know, I've talked to some agents, and I sort of think sometimes we're overthinking it, because honestly, if you just go out and share that, I don't know why a fundraiser wouldn't be interested in what this program is. So just go out, you know, and it's not that you have to know all the answers, but you should know enough to be able to get them intrigued, and then if you need help or need to plug them into something else, then that's what we're here for, to help you do that. And this is the form that I mentioned that's in the back office that kind of walks you sort of through the process, and, you know, having them give a, you know, we do this for a couple reasons. One is because, you know, we want these to be true fundraisers, and we want them to really, you know, sort of have a heartbeat for what they're doing, because that's the whole point of nonprofits and churches, is that they're there and, you know, they're trying to make a difference, and we want to help them make that difference. So that part of what this form is doing is just kind of, you know, letting them know that, hey, we're interested in who they are and what it is they're doing, and this allows you to really connect with them. This sort of helps you to build that relationship. And so it's going to ask, you know, for some of the key players. And again, you know, going back to the earlier part of this presentation, sometimes it's that person, right? It's that person that you were talking with on the phone the very first time, who, you know, you need to build that relationship, because a lot of times they're going to be the person now who's helping you to plug into their online newsletters or bulletins or social media, whether they have Facebook. You know, all those things are important, and we don't want to change how they communicate. We want to complement and build on it. So if they send out a newsletter, or they communicate by email, then great. We'll give them some materials and things that they can, marketing materials that they can use to promote this out that way. If they're on Facebook, guess what? We can give them some things to put on Facebook. So knowing how they communicate and how we can effectively build upon what they're already doing is really the key to making this run successfully. We're not trying to reinvent, we're just trying to complement their efforts and get them into something. Plus, they're all, you know, a lot of these nonprofits, churches, you know, they have a lot on their plate, and the last thing we want to do is create a lot of work for them. So our goal is to streamline this as much as possible, so that they can roll out a program that isn't, that's meaningful and yet doesn't, you know, cost them some of the time that they typically would spend on a massive, you know, internal fundraising effort, even for, you know, something as simple as a bake sale. And that may seem like it's not a big deal, but if you've ever coordinated one, I can tell you it's a big deal. Once this is rolling, it takes care of itself. And I think you can literally play that up with them to let them know that this is going to buy them back time, not take time away. So that's really it. The MNO Fund1Stop, you know, we're going to continually make improvements to that. There's some changes going to happen. And then, of course, that's my email, Cheryl at MyNetworkOne. You can always obviously call corporate and, you know, reach me through corporate as well. So, you know, with that, I know some of the questions that I've, you know, sort of been getting, and, you know, I think there was some confusion about unlocking the 9 generations, so I know that that was one of the questions. But I think the biggest thing that I got is, you know, how do I approach this? And I would say, you know what, you're transparent, you know you have something real, and you approach it from the heart. And I think if you do it that way every single time, you'll be able to, you know, get in front of somebody and make a difference. And that's really all you set out to do, is to make a difference. You know, you have something to offer, and whether or not they want it is up to them. But if you just know that you know that you know, then they'll know that. And that's really the attitude that we have to go with again, every aspect of this business, and the fundraising is no different. So with that, I guess, Kevin, you know, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them, but I don't know if you're still there.
Can you hear me?
And if you had anything else that you wanted me to talk about specifically, or if that's a good overview for you.
That was phenomenal, Cheryl. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Excellent, excellent. You know, I got a question to ask you, because okay, there is so many great tools, and I always talk about the, you know, the power that we give the consumer and the power we give back to the fundraiser. Now, we just came out with a phenomenal tool, that product search. Tell me what you think about that product search. Isn't it phenomenal that it gives the power back to the consumer, where they can choose, you know, whether they want to make more money on the cash back, or they want to compare prices. And I know you've been playing with it, because I know I've been playing with it. So what do you think about the product search?
No, I think it's great. And what I love is, you know, and this speaks exactly to what I was showing on that slide where I still had 2,300 stores and now we're at 2,800. The evolution of where, you know, this marketplace and this company has gone in the last just few months has been nothing but amazing. And that, you know, that technology now inside of the marketplace for people to be able to go in there and, you know, because everybody's wired differently and everybody has different things that they're trying to get accomplished, the fact that it allows you to sort of personalize it from that standpoint, I think is just incredible. And I think that's another selling point that we have, you know, for anybody that's coming on board, but also for these fundraisers as well.
Excellent.